There is a voice in your mind. It talks without asking. It narrates. It judges. It remembers. And you think it's you. You think that voice, the one that doubts, plans, fears, clings, is who you are. But what if it's not? What if that voice is only a layer, a mask? What if there's something else, something deeper? Watching that voice, something that hears your thoughts but isn't made of them, that observes your reactions but doesn't become them. That presence, that space between thoughts. It never speaks first. It listens, always, silently. It doesn't push. It doesn't panic. It waits. And when you become still enough to notice it, you'll realize you are not the voice in your head. You are the one who's been listening to it the entire time. Chapter 1. The mind is not the master. It's the messenger. The mind is fast, brilliant, resourceful, endlessly active, but it was never meant to lead. The mind is not the master, it is the messenger. It carries impressions, processes data, sorts through memory. It brings information, but it is not wisdom itself. It speaks in urgency, but truth rarely rushes. We give the mind authority. Let it decide what is safe, what is real, what is true. But the mind doesn't create meaning. It repeats it. It recycles what it was taught and calls it fact. But the stillness behind the mind is not reactive. It waits. It watches. It speaks in calm. When you listen only to the mind, you live in a loop. But when you begin listening through the mind, you start to hear something deeper. Not a thought, but a presence. Not a voice, but a knowing. And that's when life begins to shift from noise to understanding. Chapter 2. You are the silence beneath the voice. The voice in your head is never quiet. It names, it compares, it rehearses, it rewinds. And when you listen only to that voice, you lose touch with what's beneath it. But underneath that noise, there is silence. A living silence. Not blank, not empty. Alive. Aware. The voice is a visitor, but the silence is home. It doesn't argue. It doesn't convince. It just is. You are not the voice that speaks about your life. You are the stillness that holds your life. You are not the story that repeats. You are the awareness that remembers without words. This is the great shift, to stop identifying with the sound and begin remembering the space. Because space doesn't need to explain, it simply watches. And that's where you find yourself. Not in what you say, but in the place where nothing is said, yet everything is known. Chapter 3. Thoughts are weather, you are the sky. Thoughts come like weather. Fast, unpredictable, heavy, light. Some feel like sun, some feel like storm, but all of them, no matter how loud, pass. Because you are not the weather. You are the sky, unchanging, open, spacious. The storm thinks it defines you, but it doesn't touch the sky. The cloud believes it blocks the truth, but it never stays. The sky remains, watching, allowing, enduring. When you mistake yourself for the weather, you suffer, you fight your mind. You try to control what isn't yours to keep. But when you remember you are the sky, you let thought pass. You let emotion rise, peak, and dissolve. You return to peace. Not because you stopped the storm, but because you finally remembered where to watch from. Chapter 4. You are not in your head. You are the one noticing it. You live with the voice in your head. You hear it when you wake, when you walk, when you try to rest. It never stops talking, and most of the time, you think that voice is you. But notice this. If you can hear it, you are not it. If you can watch it, you are not inside it. You are the one noticing the mind. You are the space that holds the commentary, not the commentary itself. The mind may panic. You remain still. The mind may spiral. You stay grounded. You're not your thoughts. You are the field they pass through, the screen they appear on, the witness they never truly touch. You don't have to quiet your thoughts. You only have to recognize that they are not the container. They are the content. And who you are is not in the storm of thought, but in the silence that sees it all. Chapter 5. The self is not a thought. It's the awareness between them. You keep trying to think your way to self-understanding, to find the thought that finally explains you. But the self was never in thought. It's in what surrounds the thought. What remains when thought dissolves? You are not the content of your thinking. You are the awareness that sees it arise, play, fade. Thoughts are passing forms, but the self is formless. A silence that doesn't speak, but understands everything. A space that doesn't push, but allows all. The self is not what thinks. It's what notices thinking. It's not what reacts. It's what remains. You don't find yourself in the right belief. You remember yourself in the quiet between beliefs, in the breath between thoughts, in the moment before identity takes shape, because that stillness is not absence. It's you, the original you, before the mind started talking. Chapter 6. Identity is a thought you've rehearsed too often. Who you think you are is a story you've told again and again. I'm not good enough. I'm always like this. This is just who I am. But what if it's not? What if identity isn't something true, but something practiced? What if it's not who you are, but what you've repeated? You weren't born with this self-image. It was handed to you, and then reinforced by approval, by rejection, by repetition. And every time you thought it again, it got louder, more familiar, but not more real, because you are not the label. You are the one who noticed it. You are not the performance. You are the awareness beneath the mask. And when you stop rehearsing the story, you don't disappear. You appear, not as a version, but as presence. Not as identity, but as being. Chapter 7. Awareness doesn't need to think, it just knows. Thinking has its place. It plans, it analyzes, it solves. But thinking is not the source of knowing. Thinking asks questions. Awareness doesn't. Awareness just knows, not with facts, but with clarity, not with logic, but with presence. It doesn't need to argue. It doesn't need to prove. It just sees. And in seeing, there's peace. Have you ever sat in silence and suddenly understood, without a single thought? That was awareness. Not thinking about the moment, but being so fully inside it, there was nothing left to ask, nothing left to solve. Only truth. Raw, direct, unshaped by words. Awareness is not above thinking. It holds it, but it doesn't need it to know. And the more you return to that space, the more you realize the deepest truths aren't told. They are simply remembered. Chapter 8. Presence isn't something you find, it's what you are. You've been told to find presence, to search for it in stillness, in meditation, in retreats and rituals. But presence is not a destination. It's not a skill to master. It's what remains when you stop trying to be anything else. Presence isn't something you reach. It's what you return to. It's the you beneath the roles, beneath the effort, beneath the idea that you need to improve. Presence doesn't strive. It doesn't perform. It simply is. It listens. It waits. It watches with love, without judgment, without agenda. You don't become present by trying harder. You become present by no longer resisting what's already here. And in that surrender, you don't disappear. You reappear, not as an idea, as awareness itself. Calm, whole, already home. Chapter 9, The One Who Watches Was Never Lost, Only Overlooked. You search the world to find yourself. In books, in beliefs, in approval. You thought you were lost. But what if you were never gone? What if you were simply overlooked? Buried beneath noise? The one who watches. The presence behind the thoughts. Was never missing. Only missed. It sat with you through chaos. It waited through confusion. It whispered through silence. And you, mistaking volume for truth, listened everywhere except the one place that never left. Inside, not in your mind, behind it, not in your emotions, beneath them. The one who watches asks for nothing. It only waits to be seen. It holds every version of you without judgment. It loves without needing reason. And when you finally turn inward, not to fix, but to witness, you'll remember you were never lost. You simply forgot where to look.